Hey, Noodle here.
Anador.
This video I'm going to talk about crystals in Warcraft Royale and how the mechanics behind them work.
Quickly, at last, the
So,
time has
crystals
come.
are for enhancing your
Quickly,
items. First I'm going to talk about the fusion crystal.
my blade thirsts.
So, the fusion crystal, the way it works, you take two items and you slot them
Though
inside
I be
the
damned.
crystal. I'm just going to use cheat codes to give myself some gold.
Has come.
As you can see, the gloves give 15 plus 15 in attack speed. And with some gold, you can fuse them. The item pops up into your inventory. And as you can see, it gives me 30 attack speed now.
At last.
So you can make really good items with this method. I'm not going to show all of them because, well, it's like pretty obvious what it does. If you have two things that give 6 plus 6, you get 12 and so on. There are some exceptions though, like boots. And this is simply for balance reasons. Normally boots give 50, but if you fuse them you only get 80. So there are some items that don't give full fusion benefits.
Quickly.
So anyway, let's go over to the corrupted crystal.
Command me.
And the logic behind the corruption is that, well, it costs food. So it's good for heroes that have solo viability, like Blade Master.
Quickly.
And so the reason it costs food is basically you sacrifice some of your army strength in order to boost your solo strength.
Command me.
And so I can show you what happens if you corrupt boots.
I be damned.
So you only slot a single item. It takes a food from your maximum food.
Quickly.
And you boost the main stats, but you also get some detrimental stats as well. So if you stack too much of one thing, you can maybe susceptible to other areas. So one example would be if you take, let me see if I can find all the claws. Claws. Okay, there's some claws. Okay, so I have two sets of claws. If I corrupt these, they will give me lots of attack, as you can see, but at the same time you reduce armor by 4, so you essentially become a glass cannon if you wield those. But it's still good for heroes like Blade Master, even though like it makes you weaker. I mean more prone to getting focused. And as you can see, when you enhance items, they change colors. That means you can't reuse those for other purposes. Like you can't take fuse items and corrupt them. That doesn't work. And not all items can be enhanced even, so be aware of that. So let's okay, so corruption, the logic doesn't apply to all items, and I'll show you. So for example, if you have, the base logic is that if you have, say this one gives me mana, the corruption will give detrimental stats to the opposite factor. So if something gives you mana, you lose health. Something gives you attack, you lose protection, and so on. But some items don't apply this logic, and that is items that grant abilities. So for example, if I find item that grants auras, let's see. Okay, so Legion. I want to find the, yeah, okay. So Django, it gives me endurance aura, right? But if you corrupt it, it is now reversed effect, which means that it instead of giving me move speed, it slows the move speed of enemy units. So you can see that by the red aura buff.
Quickly, though I be
But
damned.
again, the logic doesn't apply to all corruptions. So there's another aura that gives ranged units bonus damage. But if you corrupt it, instead of reducing enemy damage, it instead gives nearby melee units a bonus %. And for example, items that grant abilities. Let me see if I can find one. So Cloak of Shadows, if you corrupt it, Cloak of Shadows, what it does is gives you Shadow Meld during nighttime. And if you corrupt it, it now gives Shadow Meld during daytime. So Cloak of Light instead of Cloak of Shadows.
At last.
Let's see. More items. Yeah, stuff of teleportation. I'm not sure all of these items can be corrupted, as far as I remember. But you can make some interesting builds if you find enough of one item. For example, Sobi, really great to corrupt. If you have multiple of those and you have Alchemist, for example, you can keep on spamming transmute, and it's really cancerous. And see, find some interesting items to corrupt. So these are all non-abilities. Staff of Silence. Orbs in general can never be enhanced. That's simply because balance reasons. Amulet. Killing Dagger. And okay, so if you... Actually, I need to buy more food. So it's very convenient that I have the trade center here. Oh shit. Okay.
We must act.
Let's trade.
At last.
I mean, corrupt. So if you corrupt a crown, it now gives a sort of stacking bonus. So this one doesn't grant me any more than 5 still. But with every consecutive crown after this one, I get +3 to all stats. And so if I have 2 of these, I get +3. Then I get +6 or something like that. No, maybe +9. I don't remember the exact stats, but you can stack up to 40 alt stats with 6 crowns. So it's pretty OP, but it's super hard to gather enough of those. And you can do the same with circlets, though it does give less stats. If you corrupt Kellen's Dagger, this is the normal cooldown on Kellen's Dagger of Escape. If you corrupt it, now it only has 1 second cooldown, but at the cost of taking some of your own life. So yeah, you have to be careful. It's pretty good, but I advise using some caution. Corrupt the amulet, you now have shorter cooldown, but lose some armor. If you corrupt crystal, it will always reveal the position of the closest enemy hero, but you can't target it anymore, so it simply activate. So if you want to reveal a specific area, it's not good for that. Staff of Silence, corrupted. Instead of silencing units, they can no longer attack when you use it. So that's also a very strong corruption. And the Diamond of Summoning is very, very interesting. So if you corrupt it, instead of teleporting your own units, you will now teleport neutral hostile units, aka creeps. So, for example, I can teleport these creeps to me. Or if you're, let's say you're in the middle of a fight, you can teleport a red camp to your position. That's possible. Or you can teleport creeps that are outside the circle and keep on creeping those units. So yeah, you get the idea. It's very, it's very strong. I mean, useful in some cases.
Though I be damned.
And yeah, those are most of the corruptions. I could go on and show you all of them, but those are the main ones that are interesting. So we come to the enchanted crystal. To enchant an item, you need lumber. And yeah, I haven't shown these lists, but these lists shows all the items that you can enchant, all the items you can fuse, and etc. etc.
Command me.
So let's start with. I want to start with the most basic ones. If you have claws.
Though I be damned.
So here I have a very low level claw that only gives +6 and a high level claw. So I enchant both of these. You can see that the high level claw has a different icon. That's because it's way better. It gives me a 75% critical strike. And the low level claw only gives a 30%. So you want to gather the best claws for this particular enchant. It could be worth it to get even the small one. The same applies for Ring of Protection. If you have a high level and low level, the ability you gain is the Stone Skin from Mountain Giants, so it has a chance to block some damage. It's pretty good.
My blade thirsts.
Not all items can be enchanted yet. I haven't added them, so that will happen sooner or later. Some lag, let's see. So if you normally the hatchet gives you the ability to chop trees, and if you enchant it, you can now chop trees from a distance.
Command me.
Let's see. Okay, so this one can't be enchanted. Dull. If you enchant the dull, it gives curse, but there is a slight bug with that, so I'm not going to show it.
Though I be damned.
These two, this one grants True Strike, and what it does is your attacks can never miss, so it's a hard counter to evasion and curse.
At last.
So if you're playing against a Demon Hunter and he has evasion, his evasion is basically useless against this particular item. And this one causes a slight minus stun to every attack. It's very small though, so it's not like super big. But it can be very disruptive, as you can see. Then we'll get on to the next set of items.
At last.
There should be Slippers of Agility here, but I didn't see it. If you enchant Slippers of Agility, you get Purge. Take the cloak, get the ability to cast Invisibility, but it doesn't work on your hero, so it's good for basically saving your own units, and it doesn't cost any mana. This one you get Taunt. This one you get Spell. Let's get the next set of items. Okay, so the Book of Study can't be enchanted. Staff of Teleportation can't be enchanted. Let's drop these items as well. So the gloves, when you enchant them, you get the feedback ability, which the Spirit Breakers have. It burns mana as well as dealing some damage. So obviously there's a good synergy with gloves of haste, yeah. If you enchant Circlet, instead of being +2, +2, +2, it's now +6. And you can cycle between the stats, as you can see here. So you can buy Circlets, enchant them, and basically stack all your stats into one main attribute if you want to. If you enchant Boots, you get the same move speed, but you can use it for a short move speed bonus. It'd be pretty good. The base logic here is that if an item doesn't have an ability and you enchant it, you will get an ability, and if the item has an ability, you will instead get stats. So an aura counts as an ability.
At last, my
Enchant it,
thirsts.
you get some stats.
Though I be damned.
Yeah,
On a
let's show
Toronador.
more of these.
At last,
So here we have a ring,
though I be damned.
talisman of
On a
equation,
Toronador. Though I be damned.
talisman, can't be
The
enchanted,
time has come. On a Toronador.
in mine.
Though
Ring
I
of
be
regeneration,
damned.
it's into a ring of rejuvenation.
On a
So
Toronador.
you still have the hit point regeneration, but you can cast rejuvenation on friendly units.
Toronador. At last.
And same with Zombie Mask,
Though I be
which
damned.
is like a reverse for mana. You can restore the mana of a unit, but not your own hero. Could be
Though
useful.
I be damned. At last.
Let's see.
On a Toronador. Though I be damned. At last.
Okay, so Crystal Ball can be enchanted.
Toronador. On a Toronador. At last. On a Toronador. The time has come. Though I be
And you can
damned.
use this ability to drop all the items that are in it, which I showed you earlier. Diamond
Quickly.
can't be enchanted.
Toronador.
Yeah.
Though I be
So the
damned.
Boots of Koltolas, they give you a win one.
Last.
It's pretty useful for agility heroes since it gives mobility. The intelligence item gives the ability to disarm a single target unit, so it can't attack.
Though I be
And it's
damned.
pretty good for like defensive layer against plate masters, type of heroes that want to run in and try and kill you. The Belt of Giant Strength gives you
At last.
Roar. Let's see, more abilities.
Though I be damned.
Ruined
On a
Bracers,
Toronador.
can't be enchanted.
My blade thirsts.
There you
Toronador.
have the.
On a Toronador.
So these are
Though
just
I be
more
damned.
lore items usually.
On a Toronador.
Cloak of Flames.
Though I be damned.
Is it really,
Last.
basically just boosts the normal
None shall
stats,
survive.
but makes the range much higher.
We must act.
Maybe it's just bugged, I don't know. Okay, it might be bugged. Should be working though, so I'll fix that after.
Toronador. On a Toronador.
And these items can't be enchanted, so yeah, as you can see, not all items can be enchanted.
At last.
I'll add those as I keep working on the game. I usually introduce a few changes every now and then.
At last. Toronador.
I figure it's time to talk about
Though I be
area
damned.
and
On a Toronador.
these enchantments are pretty interesting.
At last. Toronador.
If you take, I'm going to take some damage just to show. So, one that gives you mana, that one you can convert some of your mana into HP to heal your hero.
On a Toronador.
And the other item, the parry, if you enchant it, you can convert some health into mana.
At last. Toronador.
And I might have talked about most of the
Last.
items, I think. If you convert amulet,
Damned.
you get anti-magic shield.
At last.
That's pretty useful as well.
Our forces are under attack.
Cannons, I don't remember at the
At
exact.
last. We must act.
Can't be enchanted. Okay. Well, that is most of the items. Again, crown. It's like circlet.
My blade thirsts.
So instead of +5 to all, you get +15. And you can cycle between the stats, pretty useful for like,
We must act.
let's say I want to use the,
Anador Anador.
let me use the Periapt again. Okay, never mind.
Dranecar.
For example, you can heal, change your stats back to strength and suddenly have more HP
Anador
healed.
Anador.
And that's it. That's most of the enchantment, corruptions and fusions.
My blade thirsts.
Thank you for watching and goodbye.